Hi folks, welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel. And by the way, if it's your first visit, a big welcome to you. If you're a regular, of course you're always welcome. But if you're new to the channel, I'd love to encourage you to subscribe and hit the notify bell down the bottom there so that you don't miss all of our upcoming episodes, which of course include participation in the full self-driving beta program, where I regularly drive the car, encounter all kinds of things in the road, and then give you a video update of exactly what the car is now capable of. And speaking of that, today's topic, Tesla vehicle autonomy level, scam or subterfuge? Scam, they're lying to us, we'll never get there. Subterfuge, they're having to do things in a somewhat underhand, sneaky fashion in order to achieve a desired outcome. And that, spoiler alert, is the position I'm going to be taking here. But let's get back to the beginning. Most of you already know that autonomy levels for vehicles have been set by NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and that NHTSA has determined that there are actually 6 levels of autonomy. Before we get to what they are and how we define them and where does Tesla sit in those levels, let's just talk about the controversy or controversy, depending on how you pronounce it. See, it's this. Tesla, in letters and emails to the Department of Motor Vehicles in California, had assured them that they are on level 2. In fact, one of our contributors to the comment section by name of Community Band 1 actually wrote this. Do you know that Tesla has told regulators that FSD in its final release form is intended to be a level 2 product? That contradicts what Musk is saying in his marketing, promising level 4 functionality. Now, we did engage in a very long thread and a discussion of that proposition in a previous video. It was in the video FSD Pass or Fail. I'll put a link to that up here. But here's the challenge. Tesla did not say that forever their cars will only be at level 2 functionality. In fact, in that same email, a Tesla representative said the following. This was written by Eric Williams, General Counsel for Tesla, many years back, I think 2019. Please note, Tesla's development of true autonomous features, SAE levels 3 plus, 3 and higher, will follow our iterative process, which is development, validation, early release, etc., etc. And any such features will not be released to the general public until we have fully validated them and received any required regulatory permits or approvals. So no, Tesla's never said that it's only going to be stopping at level 2. But the big debate today is, where is Tesla currently on that scale of levels of autonomy? And that's a good point at which we talk about the levels of autonomy, the 6 levels. I know 5, 1 to 5, but there is 0 as well. We used to have cars that were 0% autonomous. They didn't have automatic braking systems. They didn't have steering, braking. They had nothing. You drove the car. That is level 0 on the autonomy scale. How about level 1? Well, level 1 means that you have one system, advanced driver-assisted systems. And that might be cruise control. It could be automatic braking. And that will be termed level 1. Level 2, which is the one that is causing so much controversy, it is defined as this. The car will perform several of the tasks, but the driver has to constantly monitor its behavior. For example, auto steer, traffic-aware cruise control, that would be level 2. Tesla mandates that we keep our hands on the wheel, or press them lightly on the wheel, or touch the wheel frequently. So that's level 2. Level 3 autonomy, and this is the one where Mercedes is busy boasting that they've received level 3 autonomy for the Drive Pilot scheme that their more advanced models will be using. In fact, they've only received that authorization for the state of Nevada. But level 3 says, the car drives autonomously on defined routes. Keep that in your mind, defined routes. The driver may be permitted to turn his attention away from the road, but he must be ready to take over at the first sign of trouble. Well, of course, if you're taking your attention off the road, you cannot know when the first sign of trouble happens. So obviously, it still means the driver has to be on the lookout, but that the car can work autonomously on particular routes. Autonomy level number 4. The system is able to perform all driving tasks, and the driver can turn control completely over to the car and attend to other tasks. But the driver may intervene at any time if the driver deems it necessary. Okay, so very subtle distinction between 3 and 4, but I think 4 definitely implies that it can drive on all roads, that it can perform all driving tasks. Number 5 autonomy level. No driver is even needed in the vehicle. The car controls all driving activities under all conditions autonomously. Clearly, nobody is yet at level 5. We're going to look today at where does Tesla sit on this scale of autonomous driving levels. Why is there such a controversy over their use of full self-driving beta and automatic autopilot, and what is Tesla doing to solve the problem? There is a built-in dilemma for Tesla because they're evolving toward level 3 and level 4. But how do you do that without real-world interactions and experiences and many, many miles of driving on all sorts of roads in order to test and evolve and develop these features? And the answer is you cannot. You have to have real-world vehicles with real-world drivers going into real-world situations and scenarios. They include such things as potholes in the road, severe dips, humps. They include vehicles that have stopped, very poor weather conditions, night versus day. But how do you do that when the regulators mandate that level 2 is the highest at this point that they're prepared to go, and that everyone needs to be in full control of the vehicle? So this is the dilemma that Tesla faces. How do we build up that deep neural network of responses to everyday scenarios without actually driving in those everyday scenarios? And of course, we know that Tesla has chosen the option of doing that, offering the full self-driving beta program, allowing people to actually use it, but of course, at level 2, which means hands on the wheel, full control, watching the road, and ready to intervene at a moment's notice. There are lots and lots of people who are very much against Tesla adopting this full self-driving beta program and having people use it. And they liken it to guinea pigs. But of course, we are the willing guinea pigs because we've all agreed and we've all willingly participated in this program. And yes, we understand that we have to keep our eyes on the road and our hands near the wheel, and we have to be ready to take over at a moment's notice. And we cannot blame the car in the event that something happens. Very interesting how the first reaction of the press and the authorities when an accident occurs in which a Tesla is involved is to immediately blame autopilot. So recently, Tesla was just cleared of an incident in which a Tesla vehicle wrapped itself around a tree, killing the 2 occupants, and the immediate response had been, look at autopilot. It did that. Well, months later, and almost when no one cares any longer, NHTSA revealed that, no, it wasn't actually autopilot. The driver was impaired. He hadn't used autopilot. He was going too fast, and the result was the car wrapped around the tree. So let's be clear on the way that Tesla is busy dealing with this dilemma that it faces. They've adopted a very clever strategy. At the same time as they were telling the DMV, we are officially at level 2, and our drivers have to be fully in charge, the FSD team were developing level 3 and level 4 features, which we were able to use and experiment with, while all the time keeping our hands on the wheel, but features that were really, in practice, level 3 and level 4 were being brought into the FSD software, were being implemented, and we were allowed to be testing it, all at an official level 2 autonomy status. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, Tesla actually specifically said, our final release of City Streets will continue to be SAE level 2, but development of true autonomous features, SAE level 3 plus, will follow our normal iterative process of development and validation and early release and full testing. Clearly, Tesla never intended to stop at autonomy level number 2, but intends and is in fact moving forward to the other levels. So here's what I term the great subterfuge strategy. Tesla is actively pursuing a strategy of full self-driving that will be able to operate in all conditions, in all scenarios, on all roads, even roads that have never been traveled before by that Tesla vehicle. But at the same time, they're keeping an eye on the regulatory authorities, and they're making sure that they are still officially at autonomy level number 2. And you see, that is brilliant because it gives Tesla the freedom to develop and enhance and evolve the FSD program while still calling it level 2, when every one of us who've participated in that program clearly know it is not level 2 technology. But by calling it level 2, they avoid being shut down, they avoid prohibitions being put in the program because, well, we're level 2. Our drivers are in full control. That's what we tell them. And they do. And we, the drivers, kind of hate having to put our hands on the steering wheel all the time, but we understand the game that's being played. We understand that the great subterfuge is necessary in order that Tesla rapidly evolve toward full self-driving in the shortest time. Now, we all know that it is stretched out over years. Initially, Tesla was talking about 2019, 2020. We know it always takes longer than Elon predicts. But we know that almost always Elon gets to where he wants to go, perhaps through stumbles, perhaps through delays, but he gets there eventually. And for those of us who have a brain in our heads, we understand that FSD is not going to be perfect overnight, that it will still take much time before it is. But we see its progress all of the time, and we understand the ultimate outcome and the ultimate goal to which Tesla is heading. So let me come right out and say it. I believe that Tesla is already at autonomy level 4. Forget Mercedes being on level 3 and driving on predefined roads, and at the moment their tests are choreographed and orchestrated, and often the vehicles around are part of that test. Tesla wants you to be able to drive on any road, including ones you've never been on before, and have the car deal with it as calmly and responsibly as any human driver would do. Here are some reasons why I believe Tesla is already at level 4. Number 1, the very wide berth that it gives whenever there is a human on the road. So, for example, somebody walks to their car, they open the front driver's door, and my car is driving straight toward them. What does the car do? Even if it's a solid white line, it moves onto or over that line, providing there's no oncoming traffic or anyone trying to pass me. It moves over that line to give the human as wide a berth as possible for reasons of safety. Remember, humans are number 1 when it comes to FSD safety. Number 2, if there is a stationary truck that's just parked in the middle of the road because there are no parking places for it to offload, my car will wait behind it a little bit, then it will look around and the cameras will check, and then it will indicate and pass. So in other words, it sees a scenario where there is an obstacle in the road, and it determines that with due caution and care, it will pass that obstacle and continue on the path. It does that already. Number 3, when it encounters cyclists or people on little scooters on the right-hand side of the road, it always gives them a wide berth. It always ensures that it's safe to move left, even crossing a line maybe to do so. but it gives them a wide berth in case any of the cyclists should wobble, driving a little bit erratically. The car is very super careful to give them that wide berth. In the latest full self-driving update that I received, the car is very adept at handling traffic cones, these orange cones that are placed that sometimes shift the traffic right off the lane markings, and to an area in order to get around some construction. It does it. It follows the cones. It notices the car in front doing the same. And it moves carefully and cautiously until it's back on the official lane that it was traveling on. That is a great example of encountering a real-world scenario, taking an intelligent approach to it, and solving the problem. Number 5, creeping forward at intersections. The car will come to a stop at the stop sign and at the line, and then it will say creeping forward to check for traffic, to check for cars, and it will inch its way forward. It even puts a blue line on the screen to show you how far it is intending to go forward. And when it can see in both directions, it goes, either crosses the road or turns left or turns right, depending on the navigation that you have already programmed into it. I'm also impressed by the differences in speed that the car demonstrates. So for example, if I'm turning right, the car looks to see that there's nothing coming from the left, it begins turning, and normally it's a smooth, purposeful turn at a normal speed. But if there's a lot of traffic coming from the left and my car has taken the first proper gap that it could find, it turns and accelerates very briskly, pushing Janine back in her seat and having her go, "Oh, what's happening?" As she's been looking at her phone and Instagram, she looks up. Why? Well, because the car aggressively accelerated to get and to keep ahead of the traffic that was now coming from behind it. That is situational awareness of a pretty high order. And finally, if you have a situation where you're driving and there is a human standing on the sidewalk, and that human is maybe not going to cross, but they're looking at the road itself, and they're standing on the edge of the sidewalk, my vehicle always slows down for that. It never keeps on at the same pace. It slows down, it's aware of the human. When it sees the human is not going to walk into the road, it then continues and picks up its speed again. All of these examples demonstrate level 4 autonomy. They do. So you have to understand here, Tesla is between a rock and a hard place, which is another way of saying pressure from both sides. The regulators, the press, NHTSA, everyone who'd love to see Tesla fail, is looking for even the slightest reason to cancel that program or at least to bring legal action against it. On the other side are countless thousands of people who have paid for full self-driving, between 10 and 15,000 US dollars, and they're waiting eagerly for the full developed program, and they're pressuring Tesla to hurry up. So Tesla does the only thing it can do. It pacifies the regulators by calling it level 2. It insists that we keep our hands on the wheel, and it kicks us out of the program if we don't. But it adds new features, and it evolves and develops and advances every part of the program under the guise of level 2, while we're all willing participants and guinea pigs in this great venture. And trust me on this one, full autonomy, once it's reached, will add incredible revenue to whichever vehicle manufacturer, whichever company comes out with the one that is adopted or that is the best or that gets widely adopted by industry. They will make an absolute fortune when that happens. So, scam or subterfuge? It is not a scam. Tesla has developed the most incredible driver assistance system in a car ever seen. Is it perfect yet? Of course not. Is it getting very, very close? Yes, it is. And that last 5%, all of the edge cases, is a really difficult hurdle to surmount. But they're getting there, and their strategy of subterfuge is perfect. Regulators and regulations never keep up with technology. So, best strategy, set your vehicle to be a regulation that has already been approved. Know that under the surface, you're still adding features and people are still testing them, and real-world situations are building up this deep neural network and giving the car millions and millions of miles of real-world experience as Tesla strives for the ultimate prize, level 4 or level 5 autonomy. See where that goes, but for my money, it's on Tesla. Thanks so much for watching this video. Feel free to share it if you think that it's useful to some of your friends who may be skeptics. And also, tomorrow I'm going to be taking a drive in the car and putting the new FSD beta software to the test. And I'm going to be trying to be a little bit tougher on the car by means of taking it through places that are really difficult, even for a human, to navigate. So see you tomorrow.